innovation they have to become employers of choice in a shrinking labor market. How will successful companies meet this challenge? We're pleased to be joined this morning by three enormously successful AIM members who are on the front lines of addressing this labor crisis. They represent both large companies and small, service, manufacturing, publicly traded entities, and family-owned businesses. Although we have a lot of information to get to, we love hearing from our audience and our members on the other side of the screen. So during the conversation, if you have a question for any of the panelists, please feel free to type it in the Q&A feature and someone will get back to you. To submit your question, please look at the bottom bar. There is an icon labeled Q&A. Just type your question in there and hit submit. If we can't get to it during the duration of the program, we will happily follow up with you afterwards. Thank you in advance, and we look forward to engaging. And now, please help me welcome our guests. Erin Birmingham is the head of talent acquisition, United States Business Unit at Takeda in Lexington. Hello, Erin. James Byman, Audit Services Partner at RSM US LLP in Boston. Good morning, Jim. And Annemarie Abdo, Vice President of Human Resources at Catania Oils and Air. Good morning, Annemarie. Erin, we'll start with you. Takeda is the largest life sciences employer in Massachusetts, superstar of the state economy, and honestly, who wouldn't want to work for Takeda? And yet, like all employers in the state, you have job openings. We just heard from John, over 500. What kind of strategies are you using to attract workers currently?
Sure, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for having me today. There's a few things that we are doing, and yes, we do have over 500 positions open in the Massachusetts area. One of the things that we're doing is we're partnering with Middlesex Community College in a Learn to Earn program. What we're doing with that is that there are students that are part of their biotech program. They're working as contractors in our manufacturing facilities, and then upon completion of the program, it's an opportunity for them to convert to full-time roles within Takeda's manufacturing facilities. Another thing that we're doing, focusing on early talent, is our internship program. And one of our partners for our internship program is Project On-Ramp. Project On-Ramp is an organization that helps students find paid summer internships. They really focus on the underrepresented, underserved folks or students, I should say, that have some opportunity gaps, and they work with them to find those paid internships. We find it valuable because we see this as a talent pool for future leaders of Takeda coming in at various parts of the organization. Another, I think, unique thing that we're doing is our Physician Scientist Accelerator program. So with that, what we're doing is we're reaching out to practicing clinicians, physicians who have expertise with working with patients and are scientifically skilled and have that mindset. And we work with them to transition into a role in pharmaceutical drug development. So this really helps them to make that transition from being a practicing clinician to working in the industry. And then another thing that we're doing is, we at Takeda really value diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have a program where we really pull in the inclusive mindset into our interviewing. So we have a program that we call our interview panelists, and it's a role within the interview panelists called an inclusive bar raiser. The inclusive bar raiser is a leader within the organization, not necessarily in that specific group that's hiring. And what they are is they've been trained and certified in the interview process. And they have three specific roles in our interview process. One, to engage with the interview team, make sure that all the interviewers have an inclusive mindset. The second part is to really participate in the interviews and assess the candidate, and is the candidate thinking in an inclusive way. And then the third role of the inclusion bar raiser is to participate in the interview debrief and to really keep all the other interviewers engaged and ensuring that, that they're not having any bias and that they are keeping it an inclusive process for our candidates. So those are just some of the things that we're doing here at Takeda.
That's very cool. I'm very into the inclusion bar raiser that you just spoke about. Is that, so as you just described, they interact with the team that's interviewing before the candidate is even brought in, during the interview, and then post the interview to really make sure everything's level set right there. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Jim, if I can move on to you. RSN is the leading US provider in audit, tax, and consulting services for the middle market. A significant portion of the company's website deals with careers and career development. What are you seeing in the professional services world right now?
Well, thank you, Vasundhra. Very much appreciate being included in today's discussion. As everyone has said, there is a tremendous war on talent in professional services firms, as well as most other industries right now. As John noted in his discussion, the number of our working age people in Massachusetts has decreased significantly as people retire, stay at home to care for children or elders, or have moved from the area. Complexity and rules in the accounting industry, an active IPO market in the tech and life sciences industry, people retiring early and much fewer accounting majors graduating from our local colleges has really dispersed the talent and created a shortage of skilled accountants and tax people, thus increasing competition for people. Professional services firms all have gaps in their staffing of people with less than 8 or so years of experience. The Wall Street Journal recently published an article saying 300,000 people have left the audit and accounting profession. Firms are supplementing their US teams to get through audits and tax work this year and in the last few years with foreign accountants to get through the winter busy season, and have opened international offices to provide permanent remote staffing to accounting or finance services to US clients. Firms are enhancing training programs with remote and live programs, hybrid work environments, and the tools necessary to make that effective have increased tremendously over the last 3 years and continue to increase. Pay rates have increased 20 to 30% for younger employees over the past 2 years to compete for limited talent. Firms have added mentorship programs, enhanced bonus programs to incent people to perform and to recruit their friends. Firms now offer regular social events, more sharing of information to retain people, and creating more teaming environments to bring along people who may not have learned much during the first 2 years of their career and are now facing more complex accounting and tax issues.
So more immediate upskilling, you would say, is what you're seeing a lot of right now.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. What about among your middle market clients? Is there anything different going on there?
So there is, at a high level, much of the employee movement between companies has slowed over the past year as middle market companies have adjusted to some of the causes of employee mobility. Compensation has become much more visible across the industry, and more employees have returned to work. Our manufacturing and distribution clients particularly have employee gaps in numbers or experience throughout their businesses, whether it be on the production floor, logistics, finance, operations, or sales. Company executives are reaching out to vocational high schools to recruit and train production workers, suggesting changes to curriculums and programs and sharing resources. They're speaking to students, teachers, and administrators at vocational schools about the benefits of a manufacturing job and providing much more on-site training and mentoring. They've increased training for new employees. Many are willing to pay for off-site training for people specific to their needs. And they're pointing out that many of the production jobs require technical and computer skills to handle automation that didn't exist 10 years ago. Production jobs now tend to require a much higher skill level, as many of the more mundane tasks have been automated by companies. Companies have increased pay rates, increased bonus programs for safety, reduced downtime, or production goals. They're sharing more financial and production information with employees to help them understand their contribution to the company's success and participate in that success.
That's a very strong message, definitely, that transparency between the employer and the employee. Thank you for that. Annemarie, Catania Oils is a 123-year-old family business. And as John mentioned, you recently added a 52,000 square foot building expansion. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
The company runs 3-shift operation, and you are an important part of the food supply chain. We'd like to know from you how Catania is finding workers to run your growing business.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on representing Catania Oils. I'd love to talk about recruitment and manufacturing in general. So we found recruitment is a multifaceted approach, and we found some of the traditional methods of recruitment have been successful for us here, such as we really promote our culture. We are a family-owned organization, and we're small enough that everyone kind of knows each other. We're in 2 buildings here in Air. We encourage our employees to be our ambassadors and really to talk about the company and what they like here. We're also going to be doing a new advertising campaign specifically on interviewing our employees here that have been successful and have been raising up from the ranks here. So that's one of our biggest success. We've, offer a referral bonus for those, an increased referral bonus for those that do bring people in. But some of the non-traditional methods that we've used, last year we decided, where are the pool of people that may want to work, but for some reason cannot get to the work. So we looked at transportation, and we do have a transportation initiative going on right now. We're also working with the MART transportation company, who is picking up individuals to come to our facility. And they have been, the best workers because they're so grateful for the opportunity that they're able to work, but couldn't because of transportation issues. Other avenues that we do is we are very into community service, giving back to the community, hosting events for the community, as well as attending events. And we did a couple of pop-up sessions where we just went out to the town and said, come learn about Catania Oils. We set up a table and a little booth, gave out information, gave out free oil because we do all types of vegetable oils and olive oil, and invited people to come and learn about Catania. And we will continue to do those events as well. We also partner with schools. So we've had tours here. We work with schools. We do promotions at schools to really promote manufacturing in general. And our message is, why wouldn't you want to work in manufacturing? There is just so many different opportunities. So we're starting at that level in high schools, really centering maybe on those that aren't decided what they want to do. We invite them to come work at Catania to see what it's like, come visit, see where you can go. We also work with the International Institute. They, have brought some individuals to our facility that have recently immigrated over to the United States, and we work with that facility. We're looking at implementing, practices here so that somebody that English may not be their first language can really be successful here, and really thrive in their career. We have done apprenticeship programs through the help of AIM and Mass Hire. We've done mechanical apprenticeship programs here that have been successful for us as well. And we plan to continue those in the future. So it's really not one method. We just explore all the different methods that we possibly could use, and, really have been creative. We have some new ads going out. We've hired a talent acquisition specialist that has really been promoting some videos of our company and, what it's like working here. And we found that to be successful as well.
That's awesome. That's definitely a really long menu of options that Catania is exploring. And it's good to see a company being that open about your culture internally to attract a greater workforce. And yet you're still seeing openings within your operation. So I guess the next question is, how much of the challenge do you think is part of the longer term structural shortage of skilled manufacturing workers in the state? And then how is Catania thinking about addressing that specifically?
So certainly we want to really, look more into vocational schooling, workforce training grants. We really are, promote those. But we have the ability to take somebody very entry level and train them here. And so that's why we're looking at more apprenticeship programs. We're also looking at part-time schedules, for maybe that working mother or father that, can't work full-time due to childcare needs. We're looking at, creating some part-time schedules for them, as well as maybe a 4-day work week that might be beneficial for some as well. So we're really looking at, a change of how we typically operated and bringing in these new, more flexible schedules as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Erin and Jim, if I can come back to both of you. I'm wondering if your companies are hiring people to work remotely, if you're specifically getting candidates coming to you and saying, we want remote work, if you see that happening in Massachusetts, various parts of the country, any kind of trends you can speak to there.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm happy to go. So yes, we do have some candidates come to us that are specifically looking to be remote. And we do have some remote roles. We also have a really great hybrid working model here in Massachusetts for many of our roles. And with that, we don't have specific days that are, set days where folks have to be in the office. Ideally, we're looking for there to be multiple face-to-face interactions throughout a week, but we really empower our hiring leaders and our employees to work out, what makes the most sense for that particular part of the business. And then, of course, we do have a heavy lab and manufacturing presence here in Massachusetts. Those roles, unfortunately, cannot be part of the hybrid program. They have to be on site. So it's definitely a mix. But yes, we do see the request from some candidates for roles, and there's some roles where we can have that flexibility, and a lot where we can't.
Yeah, and I would agree with Erin on that statement. As previously noted, RSM and most other larger accounting and consulting firms have engaged foreign employees and contractors who are entirely remote to supplement our engagement teams. So RSM prides itself on having a flexible work environment, offering flexibility options to all employees and owners. Employee feedback clearly shows our flexible work environment not only supports our people, but also strengthens our business as a key driver of retention. So we do have a number of people who will apply to us and follow a program entirely remote and work on our US teams from wherever they sit. Flexibility looks different for everyone. There's not one size fits all. So while we support employees to be flexible in their working, that fully remote position can be something that's added to certain parts of our practice, and they're encouraged. But the majority of our people are working in a hybrid format with a mix of time spent at client sites, working in team rooms within our office, and working remote, particularly on Fridays. We're also building more national teams and expanding the use of technology to bring employees remotely or physically to meet needs in other parts of the country who may be experiencing more growth than other parts. So as I mentioned earlier, the colleges in Boston are generating fewer accounting majors. And as a result, we've had to bring people from other parts of the country to supplement our teams in Boston. And that's worked very well.
That's great. I hear flexibility is a theme that's definitely occurring right now. I appreciate both of those answers. And I guess for everybody on the screen, how much of the secret would you say is making jobs more lucrative, and how much of it is making them more fulfilling for your employees? And I'd like to hear from each of you what you would say a fulfilling workplace looks like, and how your companies are trying to attain that. Annemarie, we'll start with you.
Sure. So we really promote investment in our employees. Like I said, with the grants that we've had, we've done leadership training here, management training, all kinds of operations and mechanical training here. So we do really promote that aspect of the job. But when we are recruiting, we do make a point of saying how successful our company is in terms of growth and how much we've grown over the years, how much we invested into the facility, and really promote that, and making sure that potential employees know how secure their job would be if they came to Catania Oils. So I think that's it's kind of a balance between the two. They want an applicant wants to make sure that the position is, they're going to a company that's secure in Massachusetts, and that they will have opportunities for growth. I think that's very important as well.
Good point.
Yeah, and as far as RSM, we, as I previously noted, we have raised salaries, starting and successive salaries over 20% over the past 2 years, and have increased our bonus programs. However, the focus on retention and recruiting is really on having a culture that entices people to participate, to be involved, and to really want to work for us. So we need to balance, as everyone does, the talent experience, the people, the talent we bring in and retain versus the client experience. And we can't have one without the other. One of our firm's strategic pillars is to drive an unrivaled, inclusive culture and talent experience. And we do so by having career development frameworks, extensive learning and development on the job training. We've established ENG networks, or employee networking groups, where people with similar backgrounds or experiences can come together and participate in different social events or work-oriented events. And we also have CDI programs, culture, diversity, and inclusion groups, where we can learn about different backgrounds that people may have, be more focused and mindful of what people are doing to continue to expand the workforce.
Also great points. Thank you.
So at Takeda, there's, obviously having competitive wages, robust benefit packages, that's important. But I think there's things that we do that really help to make working at Takeda a fulfilling experience for our folks. And I think one of the things is certainly the focus that we have on the patient, and reminding everyone every day, no matter what folks do in the organization, that connection. I think that's really important. And that really resonates with everyone. So I think that helps to make it fulfilling. There's other things though that we are doing. One of the things I would like to call out would be our focus on employee well-being. So we have movement and fitness challenges, and we provide free subscriptions to the Calm app. We also have the Thrive Global platform, which really works to build mental resilience, improve overall well-being, and improve productivity. And that's another resource that's available to all of our employees. And then we also do have what we call our Takeda resource groups. We have 10 of them at the organization. And again, similar to what Jim was saying, what they do, it's focused on really promoting a place of belonging and inclusivity. And that's what's really important to us. And I think those things combined with, everything else that we do offer our employees really help to make it a fulfilling employee experience.
Definitely. Thank you all for those answers. A lot of good company culture, that the belonging, I think, is a good word. Erin, that kind of ties into the fulfillment we're looking for when we look to retain that talent. And again, for all of you, John in his speech spoke about the exodus of women, particularly, and caregivers from the workforce over the course of the COVID-19 pandemic, and levels in the female workforce being down to what they were in the 1970s. I'm wondering if you guys are seeing evidence of that within your own workforces, and if there's anything specific you guys are doing to address specifically that loss from our workforce. Jim, would you like to start with that?
Sure. So we have seen a decrease in the number of women, both at the college age, kids coming out of college. We used to hire probably 55, maybe even 60% females versus males coming out of college. That has shifted, and the college grads that we're seeing now, it's probably more in the neighborhood of 45% women. So even at the college age, that has changed. And I think part of that is just the numbers of opportunities available to women in the workforce, which is terrific to see. And amongst our more experienced women, we've increased maternity and paternity time off for parents to bond with their babies, to help solve personal issues, personal care issues with adults or children. and to save on the daycare costs, which, you know, as John mentioned in his presentation, have increased tremendously. You know, trying to continue to increase the diversity of people in our workforce continues to be a focus area for us. And I think we'll continue to drive the success we've seen in the past.
Great. Annemarie?
So typically in manufacturing, some of the roles females are not really attracted to. So we have done some outreach and some specific groups to try to, you know, attract more female applicants to our facility. But recently, we added a couple of new positions. One of them was a training and development manager, and I did secure, you know, a female to come in for that role. You know, so I'm happy about that. I'm happy about some of the other roles that we did fill that were filled by females. And, you know, we are trying to work within schedules, you know, so if there are any, you know, daycare issues or needing to leave to pick up children, we're trying to to accommodate that when we can. So those are the kind of the biggest things that we're doing right now.
And Erin?
So here at Takeda, we actually have we've really had gender parity remaining from pre-COVID through COVID to where we are right now. And I think that some of the things that have helped for that would be, you know, we do have a gender parity TRG. I mentioned there's 10 Takeda resource groups that we have for our employees. So, you know, that is a support network and a resource for our employees. I also think that the flexibility that we have with our hybrid way of working has certainly helped to keep the female population where it is for Takeda. I mean, for me personally, I can say that, you know, going through COVID, the flexibility that we had here allowed me to be at home, still do my job, and have my children at home doing remote schooling. So, you know, all those things I think help. And that's why I think we're at where we are. And, you know, I think we're always keeping a pulse on that though. And we do want to, you know, not lose sight of that.
Great. Thank you all. We discussed John discussed some policy initiatives that AIM is committed to addressing to help the labor market and the tight labor market that we're in right now. What were some of the policies that jumped out to you, and what do you think would be most of help to employers such as yourselves as we advocate for you on Beacon Hill? Erin, I'll start with you again.
Sure. Thank you. You know, I think that really all of the policies that John laid out by AIM will certainly be important. I think what will also be helpful is that we have a collaborative and comprehensive approach to them, because clearly, you know, there is a need and action that needs to happen here.
Jim?
I agree with Erin. I think John's points were very well taken. I think we need to look at this broadly with the perspective of all of our population. I mean, I think particularly, you know, opening up the immigration policies to skilled workers is something that needs to happen across the board. Expanding recruitment and training of diverse and inclusive population certainly will expand our workers. Providing daycare seats is critical, you know, getting, in our case, you know, I think Erin mentioned it, spending time at home, but I think it's very important to get people back into the workforce and just have options for daycare. Transportation improvements, you know, are critical to our needs, you know, both the public transportation as well as roads, bridges, all of that. So there's a fair amount of work to do. And I think everything he outlined will take us in the right direction.
Great. Annemarie?
Yes, you know, totally agree with everything that has been said already, but, you know, specifically some things that I'm, you know, very interested in would help out tremendously here are the transportation initiatives, the you know, investment more in the vocational training and, you know, looking at really what employers need for skills and then really trying to, implement them in some vocational or some college type of training would really be beneficial.
Great. So as we get closer to the end of the program, I wanted to make sure to give some time to each of you. If there was anything that we didn't cover yet today that you did want to communicate to our audience or to the other AIM members again, on the other side of the screen, I wanted to make sure there was time for that. So I'll leave that open.
Yeah, I just want to say a couple of things that I did not mention. We've had some success as well with people that have previously retired and came back into the workforce. We hired a number of individuals over 50 that have been very successful here in roles. And also I just, in the area that I'm in, there's several manufacturers, food manufacturers, other types of manufacturers in the area within a very small radius. So we all try to help each other. If we have a candidate that comes in that might not be a fit, skill wise or otherwise, we'll try to help another employer down the road that might need somebody of that caliber. So we want to say that we're all in this together. Reach out, we'll help you, whatever we can do to make it successful for manufacturing in Massachusetts.
Definitely some employer best practices.
Yeah, I would say one thing, we've touched on it during the discussion, but it's the vocational programs. I think there seems to be a little bit of a stigma amongst people about attending college, which has proven to pay more and to provide certain benefits, but not everybody is necessarily qualified or desirous of obtaining a college degree. And the voc programs out there, the trades programs that are out there are tremendous. And a lot of our manufacturing distribution clients are referencing those programs, and just we need some education to the schools, to parents, to kids, to say that these jobs pay well, they have long-term careers, they have the ability to continue to increase in mobility. You can build big businesses in these areas. So there's lots of opportunities and lots of needs. So I think we just need some more education in that area.
Erin, was there anything else?
No, not really, other than just, I do think I liked Annemarie's comment about, we're all in it together. And, I think that is the general message, that all of us, see that there is a need and there's work to be done. And we do need to, continue to have these discussions to get there for sure. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here to have those discussions with us this morning. That is our presentation, and that is our time. Please join me in thanking our guests again, Erin Birmingham, Jim Byman, and Annemarie Abdo. Thank you guys for your time this morning. And thank you everybody who was on the webinar today for being part of this discussion. And thank you for your continued support of AIM's work on behalf of Massachusetts and our member employers. We're here to help you if you have any questions on issues surrounding the labor market or otherwise. Feel free to always contact the AIM Employer Hotline, visit our website at www.aimnet.org, or contact me directly, Sangar, SANGAR, @aimnet.org. Thank you again to our three panelists this morning. That was a great discussion. I think we have a lot to think about, a lot to work on, and I'm glad that we're ending on that note of all being in this together. Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
have a pleasant day, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.